I will start for this event today. Yes. Good morning. To start this event today, I hope you have a good mood and for this event will run smoothly. I would like to say welcome to our visiting lecture today, Dr. Abraham Melkie, as Assistant Professor of Debre Tabor University from Ethiopia. And I hope the visiting lecture will give model beneficial and significant implication in our education, especially in the development of students, quality as friendship between university partners. Yes. And I will share about schedule today. First, we will listening presentation by Dr. Abraham Melkie and continue with Q&A session, and in last session is a closing. In addition, I would like to express my gratitude and thanks to Dr. Abraham Melkie for participating in our visiting lecture program. Yes. So for Dr. Abraham Melkie, maybe you can open this class today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Novita. Thank you, STEKOM University, for your willingness to work in partnership with us. It's really an honor and a great opportunity for us to have a chance to work together and to host great events together. I thank you, Novita, specifically for your commitment to make this event to this level. Yeah, is my screen visible for you?
Yes, visible, sir.
Okay, okay. Okay, my topic, as you can see, from the screen, is the history of the Black race, specifically the history of humanity in itself, in its entirety, for that matter. I'm going to review the history of Negroid. Negroid, scientifically and historically, it was used to dehumanize the Black race, to mean that Black is just subhuman, less human than the other races. But in actual fact, science proved that Negroid was the last advanced man. The stage of human development, the Homo sapien had 6 stages. All the 5 stages were not equivalent to the Negroid or the Grimaldi. The last advanced man was Negroid or the Grimaldi, and he for the first time lived in East Africa, in the Upper Nile Valley, including Ethiopia, Kenya, Tanzania, and the Omo Valley, the Great East African Rift Valley region. So I'm going to review the history of this race right from prehistory to the 21st century. His achievement, his contribution to the civilization of the world, and how human beings evolved from that period of prehistory to the 21st century. So the contribution of this race, the Negroid, or scientifically the Grimaldi, is immense, and I'm going to see at least 4 major aspects on which the Black man, the Black race, contributed to the entire globe. The first one is humanity. The other is spirituality. And the third one is justice system. And fourth, science. Science with all its necessary, most important branches, including medicine, astronomy, architecture, metallurgy, literature, mathematics with all its branches, algebra, geometry, trigonometry, and even calculus. They all started in Africa, more specifically in the Eastern Horn of Africa. So, according to most renowned historians, anthropologists, and people who studied in depth in this area, like Indes Hamid Kush, Noval Harari, Chakanta Diop, Charles Finch, John Bain, Ronoko Rashidi, they all wrote that the last advanced man, which scientifically we call scientifically the Grimaldi, started in the Omo Valley, the Kenyan region, Tanzanian region, from 1,000 to 200,000 years ago. The age of this last advanced man, which now is approaching to 8 billion individuals, was not more than 200,000 years, okay? He is only 200, a maximum of 200 years old. Some 50,000 years from now, this man, this species, began to migrate to Europe. For the first time, he left Africa and set foot in Europe. And his arrival in Europe was not an invasion, because Europe was an inhabited land. There was no one, there was no man or a human speech in Europe, except apes and monkeys and chips. Europe was a barren land, an empty place. After 10,000 years, that means some 40,000 years from now, this human race dropped his big pigmentation because of the ice age, because he was unable to stand with the extreme cold weather in the in the polar regions. So he dropped his pigmentation and he became the albino type. And that is the difference between the white man and the black man today. Otherwise, man in his major sense, anatomically, for example, anatomically, everyone on earth is black. Our difference is not anatomical. All organs of human beings, including the brain, the kidney, the heart, the lung, all the necessary major components, anatomical structures are the same with the first man that started to live in the Eastern Horn of Africa. So our difference today, for example, Novita is lighter than me in color, and I am darker. So our difference is only a difference of physiology, not anatomy. Okay? So this is how man started to migrate to the different parts of the world since some 50,000 years ago. This image, you can see, can you see it, Novita? Yeah, can you see my screen?
Yes, sure, visible.
Okay. This is an image on the cover page of the Newsweek. Okay. And both on Newsweek, New York Times, and Nature. And it was the title, as you see, is The Search for Adam and Eve. And the likely appearance of, the most likely appearance of the first man was, as you see on the image. which is black, and the first man, in fact, the science is able to prove that everyone on Earth, whether he or she lives in Asia or Latin America or Europe or Africa, is mothered by a single black woman. It is possible to map the origin of a human race through the mitochondria, the cell organelle, and science is able to prove that everyone on Earth is mothered by a single black woman, and the appearance of this black woman is just the one which we see on the left, on the right, on the right of the screen, okay? So this is the contribution, the first contribution of the black race to the known world, that is humanity himself, because Africa contributed the founding population of the human race, okay? When we come to the spiritual dimension of humanity, many of the major religions of the world believe that, like those which are called the Abrahamic religion, believe that man was created by God from a clay, and this concept of the formation of man from a clay is a concept which we can find in Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, at least, and this concept was there before, long before Judaism, before Christianity, and before Islam. As you can see, this archaeological excavation shows in the Nile Valley in Egypt, God Kahnum making man out of the red clay. So Africa contributed spirituality to the known world. This is a constellation which the Latin is called Ursa Major, or the Great Bear in English. And it appears a bear which is on the state of delivery, giving birth to a baby bear. And Africans in the equatorial region, when they see on the sky this constellation of 7 stars on the sky, they believe that life has come from this constellation of stars, and they call this part of the Africa as Ethiopia, the meaning of which is North, the ancestral land of origins. Even the name Ethiopia comes from this constellation of the Great Bear, or the Ursa Major in Latin. So the very concept of understanding my mythology, the origin of all things, is just contributed by that founding population, which for the first time lived in the Upper Nile region of Africa. This is a different image, the logo by Ethiopian Minister of Culture and Tourism. I will discuss it later. But you can see here on the right, the Temple of Luxor in Egypt, Is it visible, Novita?
Yes, visible, sir.
Okay. So what do you see on the right? On the right, you can see the pillars of the temple of Hatshepsut, a queen who lived 1,550 years ago. And it was her temple. And you can see the body of the reproductive organ of a man which is erected as a pillar in the temple. And this is a sign which shows that circumcision as a concept of spirituality, which later was traced to Judaism, then to Christianity, to this time, was originated from Egypt at least 1,550 years ago. On the left, you can see the Shona youth. The Shona youth who are undergoing this process of circumcision. These Shona people were the tribes of Mandela in South Africa. Mandela himself, in his book Long Walk to Freedom, explained that he himself undergone with this process of circumcision, which suggests that Africa originated the concept of circumcision as a concept of spirituality, which is before the beginning of Judaism, which is one of the covenants God made, God entered with Abraham, the founder of the Hebrew people. Okay, and this is the image. This is an actor, a film actor, a movie produced in English, London, and the film was produced to celebrate the 100th birthday of Nelson Mandela, the known freedom fighter of South Africa and the entire African continent. Okay, and this is the image of Zeus. Zeus in ancient Greece was the king of kings of the gods of all the Greeks. And Zeus was represented by this black man, which suggested that Zeus himself was black. And the origin of the Greek civilization, the Athenian civilization, it is now currently proved that the Athenian civilization was a copy of the Egyptian civilization, which again is the civilization of the black race. So spirituality, in actual fact, was started here in Africa. For example, the oldest literature, the oldest text, poetry, was, we believe that it was written by Homer, a Greek, a blind Greek, was capable of memorizing a number of things. And a genius, composer of poems, which was written some 800 BC ago. And he wrote this in his book, Iliad. Homer wrote, "Do thou tarry by the swift seafaring ships, continue thy race against the Asians, and they utterly from refrain utterly from the battle. For Zeus went yesterday to the oceans, to the blameless Ethiopians for a feast." This was written 800 years ago, 800 BC. Which nearly is 3,000 years ago from now. So this suggests that the Greek cosmology was really a copy of African cosmology. This is the image of Buddha found through archaeological excavation from Thailand. And you can see his appearance is totally blank. His hair, his lips, his nose. And this is Lord Krishna, the image of Lord Krishna in it excavated, found in archaeological excavation from India. He again is black. So spirituality, the origin of spirituality of almost the known world is originated from Africa, is my conclusion. And it is the conclusion of a number of scholars. It's not only mine. By the way, there is one surprising thing regarding this spirituality. For example, Lord Krishna appeared to this world 1,200 years ago, BC. Lord Krishna appeared 1,200 years BC, and Buddha appeared 600 BC, and Jesus the Christ appeared at 0 BC. All the three appeared to this earth within the interval of 600 years, which is most surprising to the spiritual world. The third contribution of the Africans to the world civilization is in the area of medicine. The image you can see here is the image of Imhotep. And Imhotep, in the Greeks, they call him Aesculapius. The meaning of it is father of medicine. Although they later call other people, their own people, as the father of medicine. This man was the first multi-genius who first designed the pyramid 2600 BC, the best engineer who designed the pyramids who are surviving at Giza in Egypt, still surviving to this day. And he was capable of carrying out incredible medical treatments. Egyptians were able to treat the brain illnesses without opening the skull. And they're really amazing people. By the way, Egyptians of that time were totally different from Egyptians of this day. The Arabs arrived in Egypt in 632 BC. So all the known civilization of Egypt is the civilization of the Black Egyptians, not the Arabs of today. Queen Hatshepsut was able to produce birth control 1,500 years ago. The binaurals of East Africa, for example, this is taken from Professor Van Sertima's book, Blacks in Science. And I quote, this was a skilled long process surgical team at work conducting a tried and familiar operation with smooth efficiency, and Leicester's team in London could hardly have performed with smoothness. Africans were able to conduct a smooth, well-practiced surgery before the Leicester team, before the practice in London, which is not known to the known world today, because Africa is today considered as land of barbaric people, uncivilized people, unskilled people. And science is believed to come from the Western world to Africa. Otherwise, Africans were just subhumans. This is the image we Africans have today. But the Leicester team witnessed this, that Africans in Tanzania, the binaurals were Tanzanians, were able to carry out very sophisticated surgery in the 1978, which was older in age than the Liverpool team. In astronomy, Joseph Bain wrote that, Professor Tantima, Professor Joseph Bain, Arunu Koroshide, Dr. Charles Finch, Cheikh Anta Diop, they all wrote that Africa produced the first calendar. 4,000 years ago, the Ethiopian calendar, the calendar which the Ethiopian government uses today, was designed 4,000 years ago. When the Greeks took it, they produced this Ethiopian calendar, still today, as a year has 12 months with 30 days each. But the Greeks took it and produced a 28 diamonds, a 29 diamonds, a 30 diamonds, and 31 days months, which is really complicated and sophisticated to understand. But we Ethiopians have a 12 months calendar. Every month has its own calendar, and this calendar was designed long before the Greeks, which is 4,000 years old. So where this astronomy, I mean, calendar by itself is the production of calendar necessitates the understanding of the celestial bodies. Without having the knowledge of astronomy, it's totally impossible to have a calendar. The reason is that a single day is the time when the Earth rotates around this axis. A month is a time when the moon appears and disappears. And a year is the time which the Earth takes to revolve around the sun. So without understanding astronomy, without having the knowledge of astronomy, it is impossible to have a calendar of any kind. Every calendar is the result of the knowledge of astronomy. So we Africans were able to produce very sophisticated kind of calendar, which is the result of understanding of the celestial bodies, the bodies in the heaven, the stars, the moons. And we had this kind of calendar. So the pyramids in Egypt, for example, are oriented to the cosmic north. That's why they are able to survive a number of earthquakes, a number of dangerous activities, because they are designed not only in harmony with earthly bodies, but also with the heavenly bodies. So Africans were able to produce a technology which is highly sophisticated, which is not possible for scientists today. For example, Africans could calculate the time of the great equinox, which happens only once in 26,000 years. Once in 26,000 years, the length of the day and the length of the night will be equal. And this kind of nature, the mystery of the nature was discovered by Africans long before it was discovered by the Western world. The other contribution of Africans for the the civilization of the world is in the area of architecture. Yeah. As you can see on my left, you can see Ramses II, a king in Egypt, some 1,200 years in the BC. You can see an exact copy of it of Abraham Lincoln, yeah, the Lincoln Memorial. Okay, so the copy of the Western architecture, the Western architecture is a copy of the Egyptian architecture. You can see this again, the Temple of Hatshepsut, and you can see here the Washington Memorial. Yeah. You can see the metallurgy. This is in Tanzania. Tanzanians were able to produce, able to melt metal at 1,800 degrees centigrade, which was not achieved in Europe until the time of Einstein. The FIPA people of Tanzania were able to produce, for example, in Sartima coating Shemita, here that we found a technological process in African Iron Age which is exceedingly complex to be able to say that a technology of superior culture developed in Africa more than 1,500 years, which overturns the popular scholarly idea that technology was most developed in Europe, but not in Africa. This view was overturned by the FIPA people of Tanzania, who were able to melt metal at the degree of 1,800, which was not achieved again until the time of Einstein in Europe. This is a sword found in western Ethiopia, whose age is 1,250 years BC, in the BC. In the BC, Ethiopians were able to produce this kind of sword, and metallurgy, the root of metallurgy, in actual fact, is in Africa. I want to ask you, Novita, if you can see in the image in the right half, okay? Can you see it? Okay, if you can see it, you can see a metal bar, okay, an iron bar, which is inserted within a stone, yeah? This is metal, a metal bar, and especially the one on the left side is within the stone. Okay? The conclusion is that Ethiopians at the time, around 500 BC, were able to had a technology which was able to melt stone. The world today has no technology to melt a stone, because this metal, you can see this metal inserted within a stone, and the stone is melted. It is not possible to have such kind of fitness unless the stone is melted. Is that not? Okay. So we develop it, we claim that, we Africans claim that we contributed a lot for them in the area of metallurgy, architecture, and a number of areas. The other area is writing. Okay. In writing, if you can see my screen, it is studies prove that the Latin A, the English alphabet A, was a misshaped B of the Ethiopian alphabet, the Ge'ez alphabet, and B is a rotation of a 90-degree rotation of the Ge'ez M. C is directly R, E is the, and it is more than 85% of the Latin alphabet is an exact copy of the Ge'ez alphabet. The reason is not only a morphological similarity, graphological similarity. History also, recent discoveries also show that there was only one alphabet here in northern Ethiopia, and that alphabet broke off, and one of them went to Europe via Mediterranean by the people called the Phoenicians. The Phoenicians gave birth to the Latin, I mean the Greek gave birth to the Latin, and the whole Europe and the whole world has alphabet, or which started from northern Ethiopia. This is the result why our culture, our Ministry of Culture and Tourism has this kind of logo. So the relationship is of this kind. You can look for yourself later. This is written by Diodros, a Greco-Roman writer, and this is again proved by J.A. Baldwin, the writer of Prehistoric Nations, and Drusilla Houston. They all prove that this alphabet has its origin in the eastern Horn of Africa. I'm finalizing, and the last branch is just mathematics. You can see the oldest mathematical artifact here, which is scientifically called the Asian Goblins, which were discovered in southern part of Africa. The oldest mathematical artifact, which shows the design of ministerial and lunar circle. And the world has no mathematical artifact, which is older than this. This is a cubit measure, again, a measuring unit in the Nubian. There is a Sudanese, the current Sudan area. And this is the Rhind mathematical papyrus, which is discovered in Egypt. It was in paper, it was in a written form, which shows that Egyptians, the black Egyptians of the time, were able to calculate the area of a triangle. Length times width is divided by half, and was discovered there. And this again is a stone on the grave in Egypt, which shows that Egyptians were able to use calculus, the most advanced branch of mathematics. Okay, this is the Gizan pyramid, the pyramid in Egypt. If you draw its height perpendicularly to the ground and draw its side, the angle of depression and the angle of elevation were there. The Pythagoras theorem were there. And you know, some 100 years ago, a British mathematician came to Egypt and add all the four legs of the pyramid and divided by its height, and the result was pi, meaning 3.14. And this pi is the angular distance between the sun and the earth. Another pyramid in Mexico is discovered to be operated with the same formula, gives a result of the square root of pi, which suggested that Africans and Latin Americans had a very advanced means of transportation right from the pyramid age. That is 2,600 years ago. This is Katherine Johnson, a black woman in NASA who were able to design Apollo 2, the lunar module, the orbital mechanics, the emergency return path. She designed all these things, and it was with a genius of Katherine Johnson that the Americans were able to land on moon. Shows the designer of the space shuttle, which took Americans to the moon. This is Dr. Daniel Hall, who made the first successful cardiac surgery, and he was the son of a black slave. And the man whom he operated lived 20 years after that surgery. So we claim that we contributed to the world of surgery, especially in the cardiac surgery area. This is Louis Latimer, who was first able to produce light from the carbon filament. But the Western world tells us that he was Thomas Edison who were able to invent that technology, but it was wrong. It was this man, and the carbon filament was patented in the name of Louis Latimer, who was again son of freed slaves. This was a man who invented the technology of mass production of sugar, again, son of black slaves. This is Colonel Grigory, and he was able to has a record time in flight. He was a member of the American Air Force. The number of airplanes he flew were record numbers. He stayed about 400 hours in the space, and he was just a star of the NASA, the National Aeronautic Space Science Agency. And blacks contribute. So my conclusion, therefore, is that Africa is the origin of all things, including humanity, spirituality, science, and modern innovations and modern technologies. And my recommendation is that Africans must know our history, so that we redeem ourselves psychologically, that we are by no means less than anyone. Conclusion, I think I took more time, and sorry for that. I thank you very much. Back to you, Novita.
Thank you for Dr. Abraham Melkie for your presentation. It's very, very beneficial knowledge for us. Yeah. And then first, we have question from our student. I will write in the room chat. Just a moment, please. Yeah. Here for. Thank you.
Yeah, if there are questions, suggestions, things to be explained, I'm happily ready, and I can explain things as much as I can. Okay.
For first question, you can see Richard in a chat room.
Okay. In the chat box, I see how did South African people struggle against. Okay, sorry. How did the implementation of apartheid policy in South Africa? Okay. Okay. Any more question?
Okay, Mister, I would like to ask you about the condition of the Africa right now, because in the past, African is very advanced. We can see just like Carthaginian, just like Hannibal, or maybe just like Abyssinian, Ethiopian, Ethiopian country in the past, Abyssinian kingdom.
Abyssinian kingdom, yeah.
Yeah, it's very advanced. We know we are Muslim. We know about Abyssinian, and but in right now, the Africa is a little bit lower than in the past. Is and maybe you can explain why the African is a little bit the advance of the technology and the human is better in the past than right now. Maybe just like especially in the African center, in the center Africa, in the top, just like Egypt is still good, your country is still good, but in the lower, it's like Rwanda and etc. Maybe they fight each other, and maybe you can explain why that's happened.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Any other question?
I think we could have a question just from Mr. Adi Nugroho only as a lecturer from STEKOM University.
Okay, shall I reflect on this, Novita, or shall we collect all the questions first? Okay, shall I reflect on this, Novita?
Yes, sure.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I got one question from the chat box.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did the apartheid system ended in South Africa? Is one of the questions that I got in the chat box. I think the apartheid came to its end after a long and bloody and tiresome struggle. It was a very cruel system, very bad system. You know, in the apartheid era, Africans were not able to sit with the whites, drink coffee. They were not allowed to dine together, to learn together. And even in the prison cells, I believe every one of you know Nelson Mandela, the first black president of South Africa. And he was in prison, in the prison for 27 years. And in his biography, Long Walk to Freedom, he wrote that in the prison, there were 3 types of breads that are going to be distributed to the prisoners. Yeah, 3 different types of breads. The first one, which is the highest in quality and the biggest in size, will go to the white prisoners. I mean, the whites, not only the whites, prisoners of the Scottish origin, from the England origin, from the Wales origin, will get the largest and the best bread. Prisoners from the Ireland, from the Dutch, and from India will get the medium kind of bread, medium in size, medium in quality. The least in size and the least in quality will go to the black prisoners, the Africans. Apartheid was as cruel as this, as cruel as this. And after a long and bitter struggle, the South Africans were able to get their freedom politically, but not economically. Economically, 90% of fertile land is still in the hands of 25% of white settlers. So South Africa is not still economically free. They are only free politically. So they still have a long way to go, to fight and to struggle by any means possible. In fact, South Africa got its independence, its freedom with the combined effort of the black race, the African struggle. For example, Mandela was trained here in Ethiopia militarily before he was imprisoned at the Robben Island. In fact, in his book, he wrote that visiting Ethiopia will make me twice happy than visiting France, England, and America combined. So apartheid came to an end with the fearless fight of South Africans, their neighboring black people, and the entire Africa. So thank God, South Africans are free politically, but they still are not free economically. Coming to the condition of Africa now. Africa, by the way, I hope all of you know that Ethiopia accepted and hosted hospitably the messengers of Muhammad the Prophet, including his daughter. So we had mosques right from the time of Prophet Muhammad. The oldest mosque in Africa is found here in Ethiopia, the Nagashi Mosque. And Bilal, the right-hand man of Prophet Muhammad, was an Ethiopian, the Habasha, which my brother who asked me mentioned that some people call us Habasha, Abyssinian Kingdom, Ethiopian. There are a number of historical reasons to be called in such a way. Anyway, we are the first in accepting Judaism, in accepting Christianity, and the first in Africa to accept Islam. So we have the oldest mosque in Africa. Africa is still in a very dire circumstance. The reason for this is just the intervention of the Western world, the unfair, the unjust intervention of the Western world. Africa defeated colonialism through the fearless fight of its freedom fighters, but neocolonialism is still in place. We are not free economically, we are not free in designing policies that is beneficial to Africa. And the most dangerous problem for Africa is just our enemies made us to fight each other. Brothers savagely slaughter brothers. When we fight each other, you know, our resource gets reserved for the children of our colonizers in the West. As you mentioned, the richest nation on the earth is the Congo. Congo is the richest nation, richer than even America and China. Its total wealth is worth $24 trillion. But the people of Congo do not have enough food today. They still are in displaced camps. Why? Because their minerals, their resources has to be reserved for the coming generation of the Western world. So Africa is in a very problematic situation, and the reason is just that we fight each other. We fight each other. We also, as you may attend from my presentation, we originated everything, but now we are excelled and we are undermined, and our enemies made us to fight with each other, and still we are in a very dire circumstance, but there are still some hopes that we Africans will get out of this dire circumstance and unite with each other. And we dream to have the United States of Africa. At that time, Africa will be totally free, totally become the master of its own destiny. It can use its own resources in a way that is beneficial to its people. So Africa really is in a problematic situation. A number of civil wars here and there, yet there are African countries, including South Africa, who are advanced in democratically, like South Africa, like Ghana, like Nigeria, like Botswana, like Rwanda. Even in Ethiopia, we are hoping that with the new leadership that will rise up and come together, know our enemies, and use our own resources wisely and brotherly. So this is more or less just as a condition of Africa. If you have any other questions, again, I'm ready. And I think I have addressed the questions raised. Novita.
I think I guess no one else is asking again, sir. Can I continue to the closing?
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I guess no one else asking. I will continue this session to closing. Maybe there is something to say before I close this class today, sir. Okay, finally we come to the end of visiting lecture. Even today, we would like to say thanks again for Dr. Abraham Melkie for their information will be beneficial for audience, and I hope we can meet again at other event. Yeah, thank you for our audience to join with us until at the last session, and I will say thank you again for Dr. Abraham Melkie. I hope we can meet again in other event in the future. Thank you so much for joining in this class today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your attention, for your invitation. It's really an honor. We will work together more. I will coordinate my team next time because the time is short for now. And our graduation ceremony was 2 days before. So many of our staffs were engaged there. And next time, we'll have a more coordinated event. For now, I really thank you very much. God bless you. God bless Indonesia. I thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Doctor. Thank you so much. Bye. Thank you so much. Goodbye. Goodbye, sir.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Yeah.